Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's awesome admin webinar, How to Rock a Salesforce Demo and Why It Matters. My name is LeeAnne Templeman. I'm an admin evangelist with Salesforce, and I'm joined by the very awesome Mike Gerholt, also from Admin Evangelism. Mike, do you want to say hi?
Hey everyone.
So because this is a Salesforce presentation, probably you have seen this before. This is our forward-looking statement. What this is saying is please do not make any purchasing decisions for Salesforce based on forward-looking statements. I don't anticipate we'll be making a lot of those today, but in general and with this presentation, please make all purchasing decisions for Salesforce based on currently available technologies. And get social with us. So we are social. We're a social company. We know that our admin community is social. Find us on Twitter at Salesforce Admins. There's no I in admin. Also find us on YouTube. This webinar will be recorded and posted to the YouTube page as well as the webinar recap page. And when you tweet, make sure to tweet #AwesomeAdmin. Now, as we go through the webinar, we're really looking forward to getting questions from our audience, from everyone on the line, about how you can deliver demos or anything that comes up throughout the course of the webinar. And for today, and with all of our admin webinars, please go to the Awesome Admin webinar group on the Success community. We will have people on hand to answer questions throughout the course of the demo, and Mike and myself will be reviewing questions at the end for a live Q&A. So please find this bit.ly/admin webinar group, and if you just go straight to the Success community, it's called Salesforce Admin Webinars. Now, what are we going to do today? We're going to talk about demos. But first we're going to talk about why do we demo. Then I'm going to show some tips and tricks on how I get ready to prepare a big demo. Share some of our best practices, what we have found to be successful with delivering big demos, small demos, all sorts of demos, share some resources that are helpful, and then, of course, get to that live Q&A from that Success chatter group. So, Mike, why do we demo? I know we do a lot of demos at Salesforce. Why do we demo?
We do. Thanks, LeeAnne. And hey everybody, it's exciting to be here. So demo situations as an admin, you're going to start off first as internal user training, right? So it's easy to show Salesforce in PowerPoint slide, but it's more effective, especially in training situations, to walk users through the situation that they will be in. So user training, 1. 2, executive presentation. So highlighting new features, functionalities to your boss, to stakeholders, to people within your organization, in terms of where you're rolling out and really painting that vision for Salesforce. Of course, I love it when I see Salesforce admins demo at user groups. So showing off a really cool app that you did, or maybe how you solved a problem within your organization. And of course, then taking that to the next level and coming to Dreamforce and doing a really cool presentation and inspiring a ton of admins at Dreamforce. So those are kind of our typical demo situations, LeeAnne.
Awesome. And so you mentioned a few of the different audiences that might be parts of those demos. Who do we demo to in these different situations?
So with demos, and you're really key at this too, is really thinking about our audience. So if we're going to do a demo, it could be to our end users for functionality, as I mentioned before, our executives and stakeholders. Maybe we have developers that we're working with, so it's important for them to understand what a user experience is going to be up to the point that maybe we need them to build something. And then, of course, other Salesforce admins. So those could be at Dreamforce or it could be at the user group. But building your demo around your audience and understanding who you're talking to can help build a better demo. So let's talk
And we have
about.
different.
Go ahead.
Sorry. No, you go ahead. Sorry, Mike.
Yeah, well, I was going to talk about why we demo. So in addition to the audience, it's mostly, like the key thing that sticks out for me is adoption and training, right? Showing our users how easy it is, or showing other admins how we did the configuration, walking them through, as opposed to just doing it in a PowerPoint slide. It also helps drive understanding. So as we walk through the demo, and you've done this before, you explain logic. And then it's also a great way to showcase the product. So it's much like the easiest way to learn how to drive a car is to actually drive a car. And then the other part is really encourage innovation. So once you start demoing Salesforce to either users or other admins, you can start thinking about additional functionality that you want to get into. So LeeAnne, could you tell us how you build your demo?
Absolutely. So, Mike, you and I have worked together on a lot of demos. I've built a lot of demos for Salesforce, for our customers, for our admins, and I have developed a few steps that I go through to build a demo, and that really starts with a formula. So when I first started at Salesforce, I had a senior sales engineer who was really good at demos give me this formula that she used for all of her demos. And I found this to hold true for customer demos, for admin demos, for internal demos. First, we identify a business need. What problem are we trying to solve with this demo? What is the business pain or business need that we're looking to accomplish with this demo? And once we identify that, and there may be a number of needs, like each of these can have multiples, once we identify that business need, what is the feature or set of features that ties to that need? So once we identify, here's our need, what are the features that correspond to that business pain or need? And what's the impact, right? What do they get if they use this? What do they get if they build this? What is the end result, the impact of them either using or building or executing on this demo that you're sharing with them? That might be encouraging them to innovate, like encouraging admins or developers to build on a specific product area, or that might be encouraging people to use a product. How is this impactful to them? And when you combine those elements of the formula, the demo formula, what you have is an awesome demo. So this is a great formula, but I want to talk about what it looks like in action. Let's apply it to a demo scenario that I know when I was an admin I encountered quite often, and Mike already mentioned, which is working with our end users. So as admins, we can build amazing, cool apps. We can customize everything exactly how it's supposed to work in our Salesforce environment. But a key element of that is adoption and encouraging our end users to actually know how to use it and want to use it, to see the benefit. So we've got our business challenge, our business need of sales user adoption. And so I've identified that as the first step in my demo formula. Now, I have identified 3 lightning features that really tie directly to sales user adoption. So the new opportunity workspace, the opportunity pipeline board, and account insights. So these are the 3 features that I'm going to focus on for this business need as part of this demo. And what's the impact? So I've determined my business need. I've determined what I'm going to show, the features that correlate to that. But I also need to include that end result, and since my audience is a sales user, the impact to them is going to be updating deals and closing business. Because we all know our sales users and our end users, they want to win, right? They want to close more deals. They want to have better visibility into their pipeline. So when I identify that formula as applied to that demo, this is what I come up with in action. So then what? We've identified our formula. Now we need to make sure that they can actually see the formula. We can build this great demo, but if the screen is full of distractions, it takes away from the impact that what you built has with your audience. So one of the steps I always go through is cleaning all of the things. Anything that is on screen, whether it's on your computer, on your browser, in your Salesforce environment, that is not supporting or complementary in some way to your demo can be a distraction. So we're going to go into presentation mode or full screen mode. We're going to make sure that we don't, our computer doesn't start ringing in the middle of the demo. We're going to hide on-screen distractions like bookmarks bar and extensions. We're going to clean up everything that's not related to our demo in some way. That might be Salesforce data that's not related to our demo, and that might be elements on our computer or on our browser that are not related to our demo. Everything that happens outside of your demo is a potential distraction, and that takes away from the momentum you've built up with this formula. Now, once I've cleaned everything up, I need to give my audience something fun to look at. So I'm a big proponent of dummy data. I think that it is a great way to personalize your demo to your audience, and that could be if you're presenting, say, at a local user group, maybe you update the locations. If you're presenting in a developer environment to a local user group, maybe you update the locations to reflect local industry and regional companies. It's also an opportunity to showcase the UI. So sometimes blank fields can be really distracting, just like bad data can be distracting, right? So if you have a blank field, that's an opportunity for your audience to sit there and wonder, I wonder what I would put in the description field on that custom object. But when you put in a couple of sentences of a brief description on that custom object that you're going to show, it helps articulate to your audience, oh, here's what that field means. And so it kind of answers that question and allows them to move on and continue paying attention to your story and to your demo. It's also an opportunity to showcase the UI. So you may be showing 3 really specific sales features we talked about for our sales user demo, but having some selective data and fields in your demo that maybe you don't mention but they are on screen can be really beneficial to help showcase, oh, I can put my call notes in that activity. It's not just a calendar, right? Or, oh, I can assign multiple people to an opportunity, right? So having some data in there that's meaningful to your audience, that helps it feel personalized and also can help answer questions before they arise is a great way to flesh out your demo and to add more information to it. So I want to show you a few of the things that I do before almost every single demo. So let me go ahead, and these are things I have myself seen happen and myself accidentally done in demos, and it just helps to kind of clean up your screen. So what do we see here? I'm getting ready for a demo. What do I do first before I get into my Salesforce environment? Well, I can see that I have a lot of stuff open on my screen. There's a lot of distractions here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to quit out of applications that I don't need, things like that. Now, you may intend in your demo to only show your browser, but it's very easy to accidentally have to click around applications. Maybe you accidentally close your browser window. Maybe you need to open up an additional browser. And the more that you can remove possible distractions or things that make you have to click around, the better. So I would say with demos, hope for the best, plan for the worst. So if you have to, completely restart Chrome, for example, you don't want to have a bunch of random stuff on your screen. So I've cleaned up my applications. I have, very few applications running here. There we go. And so I can toggle between easily if I need to. Now, I'm going to also clean up my desktop. So like I said, you don't want probably to show your desktop during a demo, but you might end up doing it. So what I do is I actually keep just a folder for desktop cleanup, and then I can kind of quickly drag this over. People who are very organized, this might make them cringe. I usually go back through and reorganize it out, but if I'm quickly preparing for something, it's a really fast way to go through and update that. Now, another thing, I know everyone loves my cute picture of my dog. I love my dog. I always have pictures of her, but I don't want my audience to be looking at my cute dog pictures or pictures of my trip to wherever I went to, or even pictures of my family, right? Like any of those personal pictures or pictures that are non-specific to your demo can really be distracting. So another thing I'm going to do is I have a handy Salesforce background here, and I'm just going to go ahead and set that as my desktop picture. There we go. So I've cleaned up my home screen or my desktop. I removed applications. So now I'm ready to get started in my actual demo. So I have my Chrome browser here. I'm a big fan of demoing in Chrome, and one of the reasons is because I actually keep multiple users. So I love using Chrome users. If you like those, it's a great way to demo because you can keep it really clean. And I'm going to do a few things to clean up my screen, and this is before I even get started on the Salesforce element of my demo. So in the screen, the first thing I'm going to do is probably get rid of my bookmarks bar. Again, anything that's on screen, especially text, can always be distracting. So I'm just going to turn off my bookmark bar. And the element here, this isn't necessarily meant to be, okay, here's the exact checklist of what you do, but it's about taking everything off the screen that could be distracting. So I've taken off my bookmarks bar. Let's get rid of this extension as well. We're going to hide our extension buttons. So there's really nothing on my browser that's distracting at all, right? It's all directly correlated to what it is I'm showing. Now, another thing I would do is I go into full screen or presentation mode. So when you go into view, you can either go into full screen mode or you can go into presentation mode. So the difference between these is that with full screen mode, you still have access to your URL bar and potentially to multiple tabs. So this is for you to evaluate depending on the sort of demo you're delivering, which you'd like to go into. Sometimes if you do demos where you are going to have multiple tabs open, it can be nice to leave it in this full screen mode. Also, if you want to show the URL, right? If you want to emphasize that you're showing in a live environment and where you are, if you're going to reference, say, like the record ID or something that might be specific to the URL, that's something that you may stay in this mode. It's really, when I'm presenting on, say, a really large screen, or it's being projected on a large screen, I try to maximize the real estate if people might be sitting far away. So then I generally go into presentation mode. But on a webcast, it's a little easier to see the screen generally. Their screen is probably the same size as my screen. So then I may leave it in this mode. Now that we've cleaned up our browser and kind of cleaned up our environment, I want to show you a couple of the steps I go through to start to clean up my Salesforce. So we're on our Lightning homepage right now. And a few things I noticed right away. There's a big blank spot on the right under Assistant. And I don't have any events or tasks. So I start to flesh out that homepage and kind of add a few key pieces of information. So I may clone a lead, so I have a lead on there for today, and I'd probably do that a few times in order to, have more data on the assistant. But as I start to do that, so we've cloned that lead, so we've started to add, okay, we've got a little bit more in the assistant, and then looking at, say, the events and tasks, that's an opportunity to also maybe add more data. Now, this is also a time that you can make it personalized data, right? So if it's a sales demo, you might say sales call, something like that. And if we just make it assigned to today, and go ahead and click save, then that starts to fill out our homepage a little more. So what I want you to take away from this part is removing blank spots on the page because those are distracting and they don't really lend themselves to the UI, and figuring out how can you use all those little spots as an opportunity to personalize it more. So if it's creating events and tasks that are highly relevant to your audience, personalizing a little more and taking the opportunity to give your audience that, ooh, that's awesome, I could use that moment, right? Another often underlooked area of demos, and one of my kind of secret tricks in demo prep, is to really be picky about every single screen I'm going to show. So, for example, if in your sales demo you intend to show search, we're going to click search here, we'll be in the top results. If I know that this is part of my click path, then I want to make sure that even the search menu has really, or search results, has really good data on it. So I can see there's kind of a lot of blank space here on leads under mobile, right? It looks like none of my leads have a mobile number. I could, go in and add mobile to all of those, but a really fast way to build out a demo and to make sure that all those screens are full of data is to use the object search layout and modify what shows up. So we were looking at leads and we saw that there was very few, or there was no mobile numbers, and that was kind of a blank spot on leads. Possible time that someone in your audience would say, hey, are we not supposed to use the mobile field? Or, hey, why isn't there any data on leads? You just want to remove the chance for those questions so they can focus on the demo. So I'm going to go into my search layout. So I'm in the leads object here. I'm going to go into search layout, and I can actually update what fields are available on that search layout. So the next time we search for Pacific, it looks nice and full. That leads results looks nice and full. Now also I can see that there's no data under opportunities, there's no data under reports. Again, be really picky about what you're going to show on your screen. So it's a great opportunity to maybe go in, clone a dashboard, rename it Pacific, so it shows up here. A key element of demos that took me a while to adjust to from being an admin, and I see a lot of people who actually build production environments adjust to, is when you are showing a demo, it doesn't, especially if it's in Sandbox or in a developer environment, it doesn't, if you're not going to click on it, it doesn't have to be a true Pacific dashboard, right? It doesn't have to be a dashboard that has all that data, because if you're not going to click on it, you really just want the results to show up on search. So you can rename things so they show up properly. It's all about being aware of what are you going to click on and how to maximize kind of the data on the screen so that it looks like it's a full production org, but realistically, for a demo, you're not going to have built a full production environment for that demo. So I'm going to flip back over to our slides. There we go. So I shared a few of the things that I do to get ready for a demo and how I kind of get started on building out a demo and just the sorts of things I think about. It's really focused on knowing exactly where you're going to click and making sure that every single screen has data that supports your demo, doesn't distract from it, and doesn't take away from it. And so a key component of preparing to do that is to have a plan. It's really difficult to prepare your screens if you don't know where you're going to click. So I'm a big advocate of writing out your click path. You can know a part of your application like the back of your hand, but in a demo situation, you don't want to be, randomly clicking around to find a record that has good data in it, or you don't want to be, accidentally updating something that has a validation rule that you weren't aware of or didn't realize it didn't meet that validation rule. You want to know where you're going to click so you can have a plan and make sure every screen has all the data you want in it. So write out your click path. I've included a sample of one of my click paths here, and I will be sharing it on the chatter group afterwards as well. But write out everything you're going to click on, including the record. Be really specific about what record you're going to click on and what you're going to do to that record. Hide sensitive data. So those of you admins out there, if you are demoing in a sandbox environment, hide data or edit data or modify data that may be sensitive. And sensitive can mean in a lot of things. It can be sensitive due to maybe what sales groups should be able to see what sorts of numbers, but it also could be sensitive in that maybe you don't want to show a low performing account in a sales demo to a large sales group, right? You want to show things that are going to make the audience smile and be happy about the demo and envision success. So hide sensitive data can mean a couple of things. Log in early as much as possible. Try to do all of this before you actually have to demo and share your screen, right? So logging in early, clicking around your click path early, ensuring that you're quit out of all other applications, turned off notifications for your computer, all of that. Oh, that's one thing I didn't mention earlier. Turn off all notifications for your computer. But make sure you log in early and kind of get this really clean environment prepared for your demo. And also set expectations. So if you've ever taken like a public speaking course or you see public speakers that are impactful, they usually tell you what they're going to talk to you about. And with a demo, it's really wonderful to be able to tell your audience, here's what I intend to show you, and here's what I would like you to take away from this. And that can accomplish a number of things. One, it sets the expectations and sets context for what you're going to show. So I've told my sales users, I'm going to show you how you can use lightning sales features to close more deals and to update your pipeline. So they'll have that in their mind the whole time they're going to see that demo. But it also allows you to set expectations about what you will not be showing. So in order to maintain kind of this flow of your impactful demo formula and really deliver that high value demo, it can really take away from a demo when people ask, oh, but what does that tab do? Or wait, can you click there and change it to negotiation, right? So set expectations. I'm going to show you this. I'm happy to take questions about it afterwards and spend time talking about it afterwards, but here's what I intend to show. It allows you to kind of stay on that path of how you wanted to explain things and what you wanted to show. Slow down. So when you're showing what you wanted to show, you've set your expectations, you're leading the meeting, you're showcasing this really high value demo with really impactful end results for the audience. Slow down, both verbally and with your mouse. It's okay to pause between statements. It's okay to pause and let the audience digest what's on screen. So both pausing verbally and also not, constantly moving around and clicking between different things. Also, no crazy mousing. I've seen a lot of people demo and they're saying, okay, so make sure you slow down, and hovering their mouse over that. That can be really distracting, right? Trust that they're going to see it on the screen. If you need to verbally orient them to, please take a look at this right sidebar where the assistant is, that works also. But try to not do crazy mousing because it's distracting. And practice. So once you've developed your click path, practice, practice, practice. It's really important to practice your demo click path so you can see what the screens look like in order to go through all those preps that we talked about. But also practice in front of an audience. See how people respond. What sort of questions come up, right? So if you demo to an audience of your peers and they say, oh, well, what does that tab mean? And they all are asking what that tab means. If that tab's not part of your demo, maybe you should remove the tab or you should build it into your demo. But really pay attention to those responses. I also am a big advocate of recording yourself. There's a number of great free, if you Google for Windows or Mac, there's a number of free recording tools. And try watching it once without the audio and listening to it once without the visuals. Because if you watch it without the audio, you can really focus on, oh, am I clicking really fast, or does that flow not make sense, or is there data I want to clean up, or layouts I want to clean up on that page? Could that look better? And also when you listen, you can really hear your script and say, oh, well, I'm really repetitive on this one key point, so maybe I should try to tighten up that part of the demo. Or I seem to not have enough to say on this area of the demo, so I need to modify my click path so it's a little more succinct. So I have some resources here. There was a wonderful Dreamforce 15 session, the Art of the Technical Demo, that was held by our Salesforce, Rocking Salesforce demo team that does a lot of the keynote demos. We have an article on how to rock your next demo, and I will be sharing that sample demo script on the Success community as well as to the reg page of this webinar. So with that, I believe we're ready for questions.
Yeah, LeeAnne, thanks for that. We have time for just a couple quick questions. So the first question I'm going to throw to you. We talked a lot about demoing in a developer environment and maybe a sandbox, but if that's not an option and we've got a demo in a production org, what would be a couple quick tips that you have for that?
Well, so ideally you would always be demoing, an ideal is to always demo, I think, in a sandbox or a dev org. If you have to demo in production, that I think really, depending on who you're demoing to, if it's company compliant as far as like security and all that, what you're showing, I would really, really be picky about your exact click path, and I would avoid variables that you don't have control over, like a chatter feed, for example. That's personally, if I had to demo in production, that would probably be, so really have a clear click path to ensure that you're not going to any dashboards that might be sensitive, and then have a really specific click path that you're not going to like a chatter feed where you don't know who posted what last.
Cool. And then last question, because we're right at time. We talked a lot about demoing on the desktop. Can you give us one quick tip you use to demo mobile?
Yes, so I love the Salesforce One Chrome extension. If you just go to your Chrome extensions and look for Salesforce One Simulator, I think that's great to show because it's Salesforce One. You can log into your demo environment with it. So that would be, and also using verbally orienting language when you're doing that, because they can't see your finger swiping on the phone, right? So when you're using like a simulator or when you're kind of plugging in your phone, really using verbally orienting language so that they know where on the phone screen to look. So, hey, this button in the bottom left is how I add, this record, right? So those are my two tips for mobile demos.
So thanks a lot, LeeAnne, for sharing all of your demo master awesomeness with us. We will continue to be in the Salesforce Admins webinar group to take all of your questions. And thanks for spending your Wednesday morning, afternoon, or evening with us.
Thanks, everyone.